Welcome to Days of Pain and Victory. I'm Josh, and today we're swapping out a head gasket on this 93 Jeep Cherokee. It's got the 4.0. So immediately on startup, it is pressurizing the coolant system. I think that's why it runs like garbage. So what we're gonna do, gonna try to do the minimum amount of work possible to swap out this head gasket. So I think we can put all the intake, exhaust and stuff, just disconnect it and push it over. And then there's a few things that need to come out on this side, but we shouldn't need to pull a bunch out of here to pull this head gasket. So there's a bunch of 9/16 bolts around the intake and exhaust. There's a few on the bottom side that the intake and exhaust share the same bolt. Well, you can see it kind of here on this top side too. This bolt captures both the intake and the exhaust. So we're gonna start with that and get that kind of pulled away. All right, got the intake and exhaust pulled away. Ended up needing to pull this bracket off that holds the power steering on. It's not fully off, but to get this bolt out, it was a little bit easier. Plus, you got to disconnect it from the intake to get this thing to slide back. So there's two like 15mm head bolts in here, like one there and then one deep inside there. So that's why you have to take this power steering metal bracket off so you can get to that second bolt that's deep in there pretty easy. So got these hose clamps pulled back, so I'm going to pop these hoses off the thermostat housing and then pull the valve cover off so we can pull the valve train out. Actually looks pretty clean. So almost looked like this valve cover had been replaced, that gasket. So now I'm going to pull all the rockers and push rods out. So you want to make sure that these all go back in the same spot. So I've got a piece of cardboard over here. I just wrote in front, and I'm just going to lay them out in order. Alright, forgot that AC compressor is attached to the head. So, I need to get in there, get that bracket off. Alright, got the head off. Sorry, my camera died like right as I was getting to the good stuff. Got all the antifreeze sucked out. Did a little skinny extender on my shop back there. And sucked out all the stuff from like where the lifters are. And then got a straight edge, just a framing square, and I put it on here, and I can slide 7/1000 feeler gauge under it, and you can get away with 1/1000 per cylinder. So this is a 6-cylinder head, so 6/1000. So the fact that I can slide a 7/1000 under there, it's too warped to reuse, which sucks. But I found a head on Facebook Marketplace that has been rebuilt and the price is right, so we're gonna pick that up tomorrow. Gaskets came, so should have a really good running Jeep after this. I think that's gonna make a huge difference to not have, head gasket blown. All right, picked up a cylinder head. It's rebuilt by Spokane Cylinder Head. Guy ended up just using or putting a new long block in his Jeep, so this was surplus, but Spokane Cylinder Head Service does a great job. It looks awesome. Got the gasket surface all prepped in the Jeep. One thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that all of your head bolt holes are cleared out. So what I did, I don't have a bottoming tap for this application, so I just took one of the old head bolts, used my skinny wheel and cut a couple cuts in it, and then you just run those in your bolt holes down to the bottom. Just make sure that all your threads are cleared out. I got a new set of head bolts. You really should use new head bolts. I didn't want to, but Alex talked me into it. So anyway, we're gonna get the gasket out, spray it with some copper coat, and get this thing put back together. All right, got the head sitting there. I gotta quickly get these bolts in. I'm gonna put a little dab of oil on them so they can torque properly. And then the torque sequence, you do everything to 22 pounds, then 45 pounds, and then 110, except for this guy gets 100 pounds. And you start here and just go in a circle like that. And then this one here goes into a water jacket, so you got to put some sealant on it. All right, to pick up a 12-point socket for these head bolts here, and got some high temp RTV for that hole there. So get that all gooped up and start the head torquing sequence. We're going to 45. Back here I did something that's probably frowned upon, but there's like this pinch seam here on the firewall that's kind of in the way of getting torque wrench in there. So I just bashed it back with a hammer. There is like a vacuum line back there you just want to be careful of, but yeah, I just smashed it out of the way. Nobody's gonna be able to notice that. And now you can access that head bolt. So we just hit 45. What I read is you're gonna recheck it at 45 and then go to 110. This one up here that goes in the water jacket, 100 pounds. We'll drop it back down. Always set your torque wrench back to 0 when you're done. It'll make it last longer and stay accurate. So, sweet. All right, I'm gonna grab some lunch and then we'll get back, start hooking up all the intake and whatnot. The head gasket kit comes with like all the O-rings for your injectors and all that. And so if you haven't done that previously on your project, might as well swap out those gaskets because it comes with it. I'm not gonna do it because I've already had all this apart and replace those, but your kit will come with it, so you might as well do it if you haven't already. So, all right, time to get some grub. All right, tummy's full. And we're gonna get this gasket in there, the exhaust and intake gasket, and you should be able to slip it in there right between your head and the intake and get it on these studs. That'll align everything. And then it's just as simple as putting your bolts back in. Having the air box out, like I said earlier, really helps with access, getting to those lower bolts. There's kind of two sets of alignment pins. One is this stud here that is for the exhaust, and then there's two like dowels that are back in here that line up the intake. So once you get all that lined up, it's just a matter of putting the bolts in. It's super easy. Well, I say super easy. Some of those lower ones are a pain in the butt. But yeah, just get yourself a wobble socket. That really helps. Right on. All buttoned up there. This guy is your friend. Every one of them. So, all right, we got to get the valve train in. So, got them laid out over there exactly in the order that I pulled them out. So you want to make sure you do that. And then I'll look up the torque specs, and there's no valve adjustment on the AMC inline 6. So I'll just figure out what the torque spec is and torque them down. Alright, so it's 19 to 21 pounds while the valves are closed. So you got to get yourself 3/4 socket on a ratchet so you can turn the motor over. Turns over pretty easy with all the plugs out. And I marked them with a paint pen in the beginning, and then towards the end it was pretty easy to keep track of where I was at. But yeah, you just watch them so those valves close and then crank them down. So, all right, we're gonna get this valve cover gasket on. I think I gotta clean up my valve cover a little bit, so I'll do that real quick. Then just plugs and accessories, wires. We're ready to rock and roll. All right, that cleaned up pretty good. Sure is nice having a pressure washer. It took it all off. I got the gasket sitting there. A lot of times I'll do that high tack and stick it on the valve cover, but it shouldn't be necessary, so I'm going to try without. That way, whoever gets this, if they got to take this off, they don't have a bunch of gasket material to clean up. I'm going to use the high tack. So this stuff, I was taught you want to do your valve cover first because it's cold and it's going to take longer to tack up. Uh-oh. I didn't do that, did I? Damn it. I did. No. You know, without doing both sides. Somebody's gonna hate me. Somebody's Somebody's gonna hate me. All right, valve cover's on. The thermostat in. Put this little gasket in there. Got the housing kind of cleaned up, the big chunks anyway. So we're getting real close to firing this baby up. All right, it's pretty much back together. I'm gonna leave the airbox off till I'm done warming it up and all that. Put the new spark plug wires in. So that's all done. This is all buttoned up. Got the belt tightened down. But I broke the rear temperature sensor. So I'm kind of dead in the water for today. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and swap this sensor out and change the oil, top off the coolant, and hopefully we got a nice running Jeep. Fairly confident that that was the issue with low compression and the blowing white smoke, and then it was pressurizing the coolant system even when it was cold. So this should make this thing run good. All right, waiting on that temperature sensor. Should be here in a couple hours. I'll have to run into town and grab it. Got the battery in. We didn't put the airbox stuff back in. Drop the oil, so we're gonna go ahead, fill it up. And since we did the top end, might as well do the bottom end. So get this in there. Getting a little nervous. Always kind of nervous when put all this work in and what if it doesn't work? But I think we'll be all right. Blue. All right, got the new unit. All right, here we go. Well, it's not pressurizing the coolant system, so I think the head gasket was part of the problem. But I think the rings are gone, so I'm not sure what else to do with that thing. It's still running like complete garbage, but that is how you change the head gasket out. So hopefully that helps. Probably gonna part the sucker out. I don't know what else to do. You suck, little Jeep. All right, well, that's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Wheel it, wreck it, wrench it, repeat. See you next time.